everyone, this is Space Marine, and we have the first tropical cyclone of the Atlantic hurricane season. We've been talking about it a few days now, the potential disturbance in the Caribbean, and now it's officially, actually, potential tropical cyclone 1. Basically, because reconnaissance did not fix the center earlier, the reconnaissance plane flew through the cyclone, and apparently the center was over the Yucatan still, and that's really fixed the center. But this is certainly a tropical cyclone, probably very at least a tropical depression. If not even a tropical storm, there's probably winds at like 40 miles per hour somewhere in there. But anyways, the main point is we have a cyclone, and the Hurricane Center shows it basically moving right into Florida on Saturday. So on Friday, it's just going to be slowly starting to turn towards the northeast, north of Cuba. And then Saturday, it hits Florida, basically. And then Sunday, it's moving off the coast, going out into the Atlantic. But notably, there's tropical storm watches for like Cuba, the Bahamas, like a huge part of Florida, and this is unusual. Usually when the National Hurricane Center issues like tropical storm watches or warnings or anything, it's in a more narrow spot, like right on the cone, like maybe like this or like that. This one includes like all of Florida, Cuba, the Bahamas. So that's very unusual, and it's because this system's going to be very big, and a lot of the weather with the system, the winds and the rains, are going to be like far from the center. So let's jump back to the satellite just to show that. It's already happening. Basically, the center was fixed here. You can see the low swirling clouds. Maybe if you look closely during the daylight part of the satellite loop, you see there was like spinning right here. That's where the center is according to reconnaissance. And then most of the disturbed weather is actually like over here, like way off to the north and to the east and to the south even of the center. So basically, this is an asymmetrical system. So even though the track shows a certain thing, it going here, and that track could change. We'll talk about that. But weather's gonna be felt like, tropical storm force weather's gonna be felt far from the center and in a lot of places. So even if the storm tracks into like Fort Myers and then off into like Cape Canaveral, it's still gonna affect the Bahamas. It's still gonna affect the Keys. It's still gonna affect Cuba. So a lot of people are gonna get effects from this, and the track is not the most important thing with this. For starters, let's look at the models just to show that. The models are actually getting a pretty good handle of what's going on now. Like we talked about a couple days ago, once we actually start to see the satellite images show a real cyclone, the reconnaissance fixes the center, and then the models start to get better. And in fact, the cyclone was just declared, so I would say in like 6 or 12 hours from now, we'll get even better model runs. But for now, it's showing basically what's going on. Here's the GFS model. It shows it first like it is now, and then it's moving on to the Gulf of Mexico. Here's Friday morning. Very deep convection from the diurnal maximum. Basically, the diurnal maximum is like overnight tropical cyclones usually have a huge burst of convection because the upper atmosphere cools while the ocean stays hot, and that causes powerful convective forces in tropical cyclones. And we'll just jump back to the satellite for 1 second. This is probably the beginning of diurnal max here. You see this deep convective hot tower going up in the channel between the Yucatan and Cuba, and then there's another one. Overnight, those will probably keep growing and growing and growing until it's like, this big or something. So yeah, this will be a very interesting night to watch Tropical Cyclone 1 over here. Anyways, back to the model. So yeah, it's showing that deep convective burst on the model by Friday morning. And then let's track it forward. So the center, this is by like Friday evening. It shows like basically very inclement weather already moving into Florida. And there's the center, way off to the west of like the most powerful storms. And it gets even more asymmetrical. Check this out. It's showing like the center maybe is like somewhere out here, it's kind of disorganized, but the real severe weather is moving through South Florida. And then let's look again. It shows it like reforming into that. And that's another factor. Basically, since this is being sheared, back to the loop, it's being sheared and it's asymmetrical and such. As deep convective bursts happen, such as this, the center could jump under the deep convective burst, so the track could be changing a lot. There could be a lot of center reformations. And like the GFS shows, it basically shows a center reformation like right before it hits Florida too. So this could be happening a lot. But anyways, the point is, the main point as far as impacts is like the deepest part of the weather is going to be to the north and east of the system. So if the storm does track on the NHC path, like up through Fort Myers and stuff, like the most inclement weather is going to go through like South Florida to the south and east of the center, actually, the way this is tracking. And then here's some other models. There was like a bug. It's the nighttime here in the Everglades. Alright, so this is the H1, which actually used to be the GFDL. So it shows it starting near the Yucatan, and basically being asymmetrical, just like the other models. And here it is approaching Florida. And it shows like the most inclement weather being off to the east of the center. It doesn't show it being that strong either on the GFDL. Let's see if we can get a better look. Yeah, it shows it being very disorganized on the GFDL. And then here's the H-Warp. The H-Warp, I believe, is a more vigorous run. So yeah, it shows it getting its act together more quickly, but the H-Warp is known for like rapidly intensifying things too quickly sometimes. But yeah, it shows a deep convective burst. And actually, look at that. That's some center reformations. You see all these little squiggles? It shows like a bunch of vortices instead of like one center. But anyways, here it is approaching Florida. Yeah, and there's the most inclement weather. And this is actually a more potent scenario than the other scenarios. It shows a more organized system where the low is actually wrapped into the convection quite nicely. And this could happen too. And it goes right along the NHC path, essentially, and brings inclement weather to like all of South Florida and a lot of Central Florida. But anyways, like I said, this is literally the storm was declared like at 5 p.m., so it's like 4 hours since then. We're going to start to see model runs with more data and more better data in about 12 hours from now. So basically by the morning, Friday morning, the model runs will be more accurate than they are now. They're kind of all over the place right now. I just want to note that the ECMWF, we talked about it on the last show like a day or two ago. Basically, the ECMWF was showing a more stronger system and a bigger system with more widespread impacts, like jumping from the Yucatan out to here and then like hitting Florida. It seems the ECMWF is doing pretty good so far. It's verifying. And also I want to note, I didn't talk about this at the beginning, and I should have. On our past show, we discussed how there was like 3 different areas of cyclonic weather. There was the remnants of Hurricane Agatha that hit like Mexico with very powerful conditions. And then there was this cyclone over here in the Caribbean, the disturbance. And then there was another upper level low / disturbance over here. And it seems like Tropical Cyclone 1 took over all that energy. So like, and here's how it happened. Basically, the remnants of Agatha like phased with this disturbance, and then it started getting bigger and bigger. And I believe, due to the good upper level setup, I mean, there is a lot of shear, but as far as expanding the size of the storm, there's a favorable setup for the storm to get bigger and bigger over the next couple days as it approaches Florida. So right now it is pretty big. You know, it stretches from like Mexico all the way across Cuba. And even here in South Florida, as I talk, we're literally under the cloud shield. Like, I'm right around here. We already had a rain band earlier today. It was like pretty good rains, some decent gusty winds. And then since then, the clouds from the storm have been over my head. So yeah, this storm is stretching very far, and I think it's going to get even bigger as time goes on, as it accelerates towards the northeast. It's a very classic setup where a cyclone's heading north and east, and merging with like the upper level winds and getting bigger and bigger. So yeah, it looks like that's what's going to happen. And yeah, just to show the rain bands, here's the Key West radar. Even the rain shield's actually getting pretty close to Key West, and then there's some rain squalls heading up towards Key Largo, north of Key West. So yeah, the impacts are already being felt in South Florida, and like I said earlier, our rain band actually went all the way up through like Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, and even further north. I think we can still see it actually. Let's look at the Miami radar. Well, it's actually kind of going away now, but there it is. That's the remnants of the first outer band that's going off to the north like that. Basically, the main impacts with this is going to be the rain, and let's actually look at it from the NHC. They have like a really good graphic from the National Hurricane Center. Here's the U.S. rainfall potential. So the biggest thing of all with this system is going to be rain. And like we showed, even though the track is going here, so this is where the track is, most of the activity is going to be south and east of the track. So yeah, over like Miami, Key West, 6 to 10 inches of rain. And it could be even more. This is like a general average. There could be like a foot of rain somewhere. Looks very likely the way this is setting up. And like I said, it's a big, juicy system. And all this rain, let's zoom in on that. So there's like all this convection over Cuba. And this is before, like I said, that Diurnal Max is coming. It's going to like really blow up with convection, get way better organized tonight, and it's already looking good before that. There's going to be a huge amount of rain swirling around this thing. And yeah, it's going to really leave a swath of rain over South Florida. And we've already had heavy rains like the past week or two. There's been floods already. In fact, my boss even drove through a flood like about a week or two ago and like flooded his car. So yeah, there's been lots of rain here. Crazy amounts of rain. And then we're going to get like 6 to 10 inches or even more on top of that. So yeah, South Florida is looking at a major flooding event, and the National Weather Service has actually issued a flood advisory already. So it seems like no matter what, that's going to happen. And then there could also be some gusty winds, and especially in a subtropical-ish system like this. Basically, there could be like pretty strong winds in this thing, like 50 miles an hour sustained, like over a large area. That's quite possible. So that's another thing to look out for. That could bring down some tree branches and affect some, structures a little bit. Some weaker parts of houses and stuff. Not like actually destroying houses, but like the awnings and some other things could get wrecked by this. but that's more questionable. The one thing that's guaranteed is the rain. It's going to rain a lot. There could be some good tropical storm conditions too. And yeah, it looks like it's coming in Saturday. The models are kind of like different. Some of them show it like the main weather coming in Saturday before the sun rises. Some of them show it coming in Saturday later in the day or even in the evening. So that remains to be seen. And by the way, another thing. Oh yeah, I already mentioned the tropical storm watches. But yeah, this is something to watch very closely. The radar shows that the rain shield's already approaching, and literally by tomorrow morning, the rain's already going to be over spreading South Florida, and throughout the day, more and more squall lines are going to start rotating through the Keys in South Florida. So this event's like pretty near to happening. It's nothing super duper serious. It's not like a catastrophic event by any means. I mean, worst case scenario, the strengthens a lot, and maybe it'll have like 60-mile-per-hour sustained winds. It'll be a strong and big tropical storm. That's possible, especially because of the upper level dynamics. The minimal scenario is like it's like a 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm. So yeah, it's gonna be some sort of tropical storm. The conditions don't look exactly perfect for a hurricane. It's not impossible. There could be like a minimal hurricane out of this, maybe, but I really don't think so. But we'll see. It's still early. We'll see what happens during that diurnal max as it's moving over the Gulf Stream and stuff. So I don't want to like make any proclamations. We'll just watch and see what happens. But yeah, I'm expecting basically a moderate tropical storm, big, lots of flooding rain. A pretty good event for this early in the year. And yeah, I will continue to update. Like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Probably tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon I'll have an update.